What's up, you guys? It's Tyler from the Harringtons, and we're back today with another Facebook Live replay. If you've been following along the last couple of weeks on our channel, we've been doing these Facebook Live replays here on YouTube, and we've been doing them over on Facebook. This week, we are talking all about questionnaires, and we're talking all about how we use them, why we use them, and how we use them not only to give our clients a better experience with us, but also how we use them to make better wedding films. So you're going to see that Facebook Live replay right after this. Before we jump into that, I just wanted to tell you that next week, Ash is doing something really fun over on Instagram. So make sure that you go follow her on Instagram. She's at Ashley Harrington, and use this hashtag. And we're going to be showing you behind the scenes on our day-to-day lives here as we run our business right here on Fireside Drive. So make sure you go follow her and follow me too while you're over there to follow along with that for next week. Thank you so much for checking this out. I hope you enjoy this Facebook Live replay.
All right, so tonight we are talking about questionnaires for wedding filmmakers. And just like Ty said, we utilize our questionnaires for more than just to collect information. We want them to be purposeful for the couple as well as for us. And to push our storytelling forward. So we try to get as much information as we can out of these, and it doesn't just feel like another task or another thing that they have to check off the list. All right, so who are these for? So questionnaires are for the filmmaker that is looking to create story-driven films. You don't just want to create a film where you just clip scenes together or clip moments together. You want it to be story-based. And you're most interested in telling the couple's story of them coming together with like their wedding day is the culmination of like their relationship up until now. Okay, so this is for the filmmaker who wants this, like, this is why you're going to send out questionnaires, because you want to get more out of your films. You don't just want it to just be like a scene chop back and forth. You want more from that. Okay, so why does it matter? So I love this question because I think if we think about it personally in our lives, we all want to identify with a greater story of ourselves. And the only example I could think of is like in our social media driven world, if somebody talks about you on Instagram, like if they tag you in a photo or they're sharing a story about you, like, doesn't that just feel like so good to like hear somebody else like talk about you and about like, you know, maybe it's like how you've impacted their life, or maybe you like gave them something. It literally just feels so good. So why does this matter? Is this slide we're on? Gosh.
Wait, is she still echoey, guys? Can you hear her okay? Ugh. Hello? Let us know if she sounds... Keep going, Ash.
Okay.
I think that it's fine. I'm perplexed.
So our greatest, you know, one of our greatest like values is just to be seen, to be known, to be heard and understood. And so a questionnaire can do that for your couples in your business. And so the greatest role as filmmakers that we play is making this all come to life. So we have all this information that we're getting out of the questionnaire, and then we have to turn it into something through the film. So how can we do this? Well, I'm gonna tell you. So we have 3 tips. All right. Tip number 1. All right, so you want to think outside of the box. So you don't want to just focus on yes or no questions. You want to create conversations, so you want to push it forward. You want to ask them questions that's going to have them like, you know, rack their brain and like make words come to life and not just be like yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. You want to utilize the words that they are sharing in their story in the way that you piece their film together, in the way that you tell their story. So a practical way that I do this is that I ask them specifically to tell me about their engagement story, to tell me about how they met. And then I'm going to use those exact words when I go to share their blog post to tell their story. And then you're going to ask leading questions. So you want to ask questions that like piece together and build on top of each other. So one question that you could ask is that you could ask them to pick one word to describe them as a couple. What would it be? So a great thing about this is if they say like fun. Okay, so you already know that they love to have fun together. Maybe that means they laugh a lot. They're like playful, and so they're not super serious. They're more kind of go with the flow. So you're asking if you're asking this one question to get this one word, you're kind of putting them in this like identifying factor of like, okay, this is kind of what they're like. Okay, so you want to aim to create conversational questions, not just one-word answers. Even though this question is a one-word answer, it's going to build on top of each other. Okay, Tip number 2, you want to ask for their perspective. So, how do I do this practically? I ask them, what do you envision your ideal wedding day to be like? So this question, we want to zero in on the adjectives that they share. They might say things like, I envision my wedding day with lots of greenery. It's going to be an outdoor wedding. Maybe they're going to have candles like going down the aisle, whimsical, like family oriented, family focused. Like the most important thing to me is like the first look with my dad. Like whatever they say here is like you're going to zero in on the adjectives because it's going to tell you more about the couple than them just saying like, I care about this, this, and this. Asking them specifically to envision their wedding day is literally going to give you a visual for like what you're going to be shooting on their wedding day. And that's way more impactful than just saying like, tell me what you think your wedding day is going to be like. No, they're probably going to be like, well, we're going to get married. But if you ask them specifically to envision it and then share that vision with you, it's going to give you so much more information that you can already start thinking like, okay, so I already know that they're fun. They love to have fun together. I already know this is how they met. So you already know like what you're going to incorporate in building their film and what you're going to be looking for specifically on their wedding day to capture. All right. And then the last tip is to ask them to engage with your work. So if you take anything that I say tonight, I hope it's this tip that you take away from you. Okay, so practically, I ask them this specific question. Are there any films of ours that really stand out to you? Okay, so I feel like I hear this all the time in any filmmaker group. They're like, oh, like, I always get the brides that want to send me a Pinterest board with like all these films that they love. Or I get these emails and they send me all these YouTube links of all these films that they love. Okay, so the way to avoid this is by asking them to zero in on your work and keep it you focused so they don't go out into the world and find all these things and be like, this is what I want. Also, if you're creating a personal experience, it's going to be you focused all along because they're going to know that they are hiring you for you. And so you can't ask them questions of like, share your Pinterest board with me of like what you think that your wedding day is going to be like, or your vision board. Share your Pinterest vision board with me of what your wedding day is going to be like, because then you're opening up the door for them to share somebody else's work with you. And for then you have to be like, oh, well, they don't actually want me. So you want to keep it you focused. Have them share films that you've already created, that is already your style, it's already your work. And then you can pinpoint like, okay, so you created that film. And the thing that stands out about that film is like, maybe it's the dad's speech during the reception. And so you're like, okay, so they really care about the speeches of the reception, or they really care about her dad or his dad or like whatever. Like, you know what they're valuing because you created that film. So you want to keep it you focused. All right. So this is just to like get your feet wet, start to like forward thinking, getting you to think deeper about like how can a questionnaire be helpful to you in your business. These are just 3 small tips. So for a recap, you want to think outside of the box. So you want to ask them leading questions. You want to ask them questions that is going to create conversation and not just one-word answers. You want to ask them how they envision their wedding day to be so that you get a visual picture of like what you're going to be capturing on that wedding day, and you can already start to think like what you're going to shoot ahead of time to build their story because they're already telling you what their story is. And then the last one is you want to ask them to engage with your work because you want to keep them you focused and not looking out into the world to tell you what to do. You want to tell them what you can do for them. Okay, so those 3 tips. Now, if you want to know what else we ask our couples, you can sign up here for our email list. I'm sending out all the questionnaires that we send out. I'm sending it out tomorrow in this recap email when we share our replay. And this might be my favorite part. If you hold your iPhone up to this slide and you go to the photos, like if you go to your camera and you hold it up, and you click, there a box will appear at the top and you just click it and you can sign up for our list right there.
Guys, this is so 2013 right here.
Rude.
All up in your face. All up in your face.
I just learned about it.
Actually, you have to have iOS 11 for this to work. So if you don't have the newest operating system for Apple, I actually don't know if Android, I think Android's been able to do it for like 5 years probably. But yeah, you can just point your camera, your stock iPhone camera at this QR code and it'll work.
Okay,
Ash is so
Ty
proud
thinks
of
this
it.
is so dumb, but guys, I literally think this is so fun.
We literally just had this discussion in one of the Facebook filmmaking groups today. Someone wanted to put it on like a business card or something, and everyone was saying that it's so old school.
Oh, I'm just saying.
And it's cool. It would have been cool.
I think it's really
if this
cool.
is how it was when it originally came out. I do think that it is convenient. But anyway, okay, yeah. So if you all do that, what does it do if they do that?
Okay, it'll just sign you up for our list, and so then
Our
you
email list.
our email list, and you will get all of our questionnaires tomorrow in the email that I send out with this replay from tonight. Also, if you're
everyone says it's cool. Wow.
guys, thank you. If you don't have an iPhone, I did pin the link to our email list at the top right here, so you can just click right on over there and join the list that way if you
Guys,
want.
the technology, I tell you what, Ash is getting savvier and savvier by the day. You're going to be back on Ty's Tech Line before you know it.
I'll share my QR code.
QR code.
QR code.
Keurig code, is that what you said? It is not a Keurig code.
Curie. I thought it was Curie code.
QR code.
Oh, whatever.
Curie? Like Siri's sister, Curie? Anyway.
Ty thinks that was really funny.
Okay. Do you want to go to this slide or do you want to go back to questions first?
We can go to this slide.
Go to this slide. All right.
Yeah. All right. Last thing before we dive into questions is, okay, so next week we're not going to have an Instagram or a Facebook Live. Next week, I'm going to be hanging out on Instagram all week long, not like all day long, but and I'm going to walk through every single thing that I do every single day for the business. And you can find me on Instagram.
It's like a day in the life
Kind
of
of.
Ash, but only in the business sense.
Yeah, so if you don't follow me already, you can go over and follow me at Ashley Harrington.
If while you're there, you can find me too if you wanted to follow me. Guys, I'm so close to 3,000 followers. I got to hit it.
Oh my gosh.
Just saying.
Hashtag goals.
Ash is really close to 10,000. So, guys, help us meet our milestones.
Whoops.
Although I feel like a lot of you who are here already follow us, but
Yeah.
that's okay too.
That's true. But I'm going to tell you in 1 second.
What are you doing?
Okay, so if you go over and you
I
follow
see.
me on Instagram, I'm going to be literally behind the scenes showing you what I'm doing every day throughout the week. So I'm going to show you like what I do on Mondays. And every Monday I do the same thing. What I do on Tuesdays, what I do on Wednesdays, like every single day I'm going to show you what I do for the business. And if you want to join in on the fun and show your behind the scenes business, you can hashtag behind the film biz. Hashtag behind the film biz.
Is that biz with a Z
B-I-Z.
or biz with an S?
And you can join in on the fun, and we can all follow along with what you're doing behind the scenes of your filmmaking business as well, which I think will be super fun.
So fun. I'm going to do it
Have
too.
fun. Ty's going to do
You'll
it
see me
too.
sitting at this desk
Editing stuff.
and then making espresso shots and then sitting here some more.
But the reason why we're going to do this is we've had a ton of people ask us for more practical things. Like, what do you do? So I run the whole business side of the business, and Ty's main role is editing. And
A lot of other things.
yes, we both have a lot of other things that we do, but those are our like hard and fast. Like, if you have a business question, it comes to me. If you have an editing question, it comes to Ty. Like, hard and fast, that's where the line falls. So we've had a ton of questions about just like practical everyday, what do you do for the business? And so we're going behind the scenes, and I'm going to show you what I do every single day. So hang out on Instagram with us next week. We will not be on Facebook Live. But if you were on the email last week, you saw that the business of wedding filmmaking, our next course, is coming out into the world, and we are launching this month. And so,
Whoa, no. Next month.
so stick around.
This month, like
and
February?
Yeah.
You mean March?
No.
We already talked about this. It's going to be in March.
Stick around, and you will you'll find out that too, if you follow around on Instagram next week. Okay. Now
I'm going to find out too. Everyone's going to find out.
we're gonna jump into some Q&A. So if you guys have any specific questions as far as questionnaires go, we can go ahead and dive into questionnaire questions now. And then we can kind of move into more.
Or just general questions, questionnaire questions.
Yes.
This is our last Facebook Live ever. Okay, not ever.
Not ever, Ty.
But we're ending the series here tonight.
All right. Megan has a question. This is a good question. Do you guys ever send actual questionnaires to your couples, or is all of this done via personal meetings and Skype? We do this in our meeting now, but I'm wondering if there's a difference in the answers based on the platforms and time to think through answers.
Great question.
Okay, so all the questionnaires that I send, I want to make sure I'm answering this right.
Yeah,
It's all online.
we send them a couple different times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So all the questionnaires that I send are online. So I don't send them anything through Skype or personal meetings or anything. I don't have them fill out anything like when we meet with them. It's all done online. So the process kind of goes, we set up a meeting with them. They decide they want to book us. They book us, and then I send the questionnaire. And then we kind of like, the natural ebb and flow of like planning for the wedding. And then right before the wedding, I send another questionnaire. So I don't do anything in person, or I don't have any papers or anything like that. Everything is done online.
But we don't ask them the questions like in person. We're not going through a questionnaire as we're talking to them and then writing down their answers.
No. When we do meet with them, we ask them like the basic things, like what do you guys do in everyday life, just so we could kind of like find out about their, what are they doing in life. And then we also ask them like how did they meet and how they get engaged, and we kind of talk about the wedding. A lot of times, if they're like 18 months out from their wedding day, they just have a general idea of what they're going for, but they don't necessarily have any hard and fast plans. They might have a few vendors or something like that, and we'll talk about that.
And if you ask them too many specific questions about the wedding day and they don't know the answer, they start to feel like they're a failure because they don't know whatever you're asking them. Especially, again, if you're really far out from the wedding, we try to ask like more like broader questions and things that aren't so specific, because we used to ask more specific questions like about, Ash used to always ask like about their colors and their bridesmaids dresses, and they would get really not embarrassed, but they'd be like, oh, I don't even know yet, like, and they think that they should know because we're asking when we're really just trying to create conversation. So anyway, so we try and talk more about like them and their relationship and how they met,
right,
and all those types of things, and then like the broad general vision for like what they want the day to look like, less about like specific details. And then we send that questionnaire out with specific questions with like as far as like timelines and like the final like nitpicky details much closer to the wedding day, not during the initial consultation. Or consultation is such like a formal word. It's more of like a get to know each other, hang out time. Right, Ash?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a great question though.
So if you guys have any other questions, keep them coming, and that would be good. I have a question that it was in your notes, but you didn't really talk about it. I'm going to ask it like I don't know what I kind of do. Do you ask them questions about their music preferences in any of the questionnaires? Do you use that as an opportunity to find out about their music preferences?
No, I don't.
Why was it on your slides?
Because I was saying I was talking about this so when I ask them to share their vision for their wedding day, I use whatever adjective, like I'm really honing in on adjectives. Like if they use specific adjectives like whimsical or like bohemian or like it has like a folk feel, like, or whatever. Those are the ones that we're like kind of like pushing aside when we go to look for the music. So it helps give that like whole perspective of the wedding day, like in this huge, what is it, like a bird's eye view? Yeah, that's what I was trying to think about.
Those are things.
Like in a bird's eye view.
Birds are things, yeah. Okay, yeah. That's good. Yeah, because I know some people, like Matt Johnson, he asks people specifically, like, what type of music do you like? Like, what type of music do you, or like, what kind of music do you dislike? And asks a few, like, music-specific questions to get some answers. Because we do get that question a lot from people, like, how do you choose the music? Do you let the client choose the music? And we always say, well, no, we don't let them choose it outright, because that's obviously part of, like, our secret sauce and the editing, and there's a lot of strategy that goes into like what music goes where, and obviously we have to use licensed music, all those types of things. But at the same time, we do want to take into consideration the couple and their tastes and what they like. So if they really love country music and that's both their favorite thing and they met at a country concert, we might try and work a little bit more country or figure out a way to work a more country type song into it. But if they say like absolutely not, we hate country, like we despise anything that sounds even remotely close to country, then obviously you don't want to use that in the film either. So you can use some of those, like she said, use the words that they use, as well as if you want, you could ask some like specific questions to get a better feel for like the type of music that they like, and almost more importantly, what they don't like.
And usually if they have a strong preference, that comes up in our first like meeting with them, because they already know they care about that.
Yeah, and if you like ask them what type of film that they do like of ours, and they show one that has, you can get cues from that, like the type of music that's in the film that they say really speaks to them. And if they say why, like, oh, the music in this is just so beautiful, we love the like low, like kind of like the low and slow dramatic music. Like, oh, okay, like you kind of can start piecing it all together. So, and just like knowing their personalities and knowing the day. So by the time you do get to that music selection process, through all of these different factors, you have a pretty good idea of what kind of music you're looking for. And then from there, it's more of like a feel thing. You just got to feel it.
Yeah. Feel it.
Cool. Great question, Ty. Thanks, Ty. You're welcome, Ty.
All right.
Okay, here we go. We have a question. It's not questionnaire specific, but that's okay. So he says, curious for what your payment structure is, retainer plus final percentage. Cheers from Canada. Hello, Canada.
So we do take a retainer. We do a 2,000. Yeah.
I was trying to help you see. We do a fixed amount retainer. It doesn't fluctuate. It's not a percentage. Right. We just have a fixed amount. For us, it's $2,000. For you, it should vary depending on your package price and stuff like that. You obviously want it to be enough of a investment for them that they're not going to walk away easily, and that it's financially viable for you, because like bookings come in at all different times and stuff. So you got to figure out for you and your finances what's going to be the best thing, and it's also reasonable for someone to pay as a percentage.
Right. And then we do the final payment is due 30 days before the wedding, and we do have some people who
do like a payment plan, right?
Yeah, like they'll be like, hey, can I pay this much on these dates or whatever, and we'll do that too.
No, that's okay.
No worries.
Yeah, no, that's great.
You can ask anything you want.
You guys can ask any kind of questions you want at this point. Ask away. We're here for you. That's a great question. Yeah. So then and then the finals due. So we never show up for a wedding without being fully paid. It's just too awkward. There's just so many. You don't want to be talking about money on someone's wedding day. You don't want to be trying to chase down the bride or mom or whoever else to pull up their checkbook during the wedding. Like, it's just, you don't want to focus on that. So we always just make sure that we get paid before we get there. And then, yeah, that's just non-negotiable for us. And they know that up front. It's not a surprise. Yeah, 50% and 50%. 50% works. Again, it depends on your package price. Once we started raising our prices a little bit higher, 50% started becoming like a really big number. So that's how we reduce it to just a flat fee. And it's easier for us to keep track of, just because it doesn't change from package to package. We know exactly what we're going to be getting in. But if depends what you're charging. And if people are willing to pay it, then I think it's fine. But I would say 2,000 is probably as high as I think I would want to go to collect as a retainer. Or right, retainer is the right word we're legally supposed to use. Yeah. So, good question.
Megan. So outsourcing. It's a great question. How can filmmakers outsource without losing creative control? Not comfortable outsourcing editing.
That's a good question. So, Megan, we're kind of in that. We've been talking about this ourselves, which is why Ash said it that way. I agree. It's really hard. Like, that's one of the things about wedding filmmaking that is very, very difficult, because a lot of our personality and sort of like the essence of our films comes from the editing as much as it comes from the shooting. So it is really hard. It's a really hard thing to give away. Like, it just really is. I would say if it's something that you're looking into, or just anybody out there who's looking to outsource editing, I think that what we're probably going to do or look to do, and I think the smartest thing to do, if you don't want to give up all the creative control, is to think of the little jobs that you do during the editing process that you can outsource and that take up a lot of time, and then that'll free you up to only focusing on the actual like creative edit and the final parts of the edit. So that can be anything from just like culling, whatever your culling process looks like, even your like ingestion, like syncing up all your multicam sequences. All those types of things are all things that are just very time consuming that could be outsourced to somebody because they are more technical and there's less creativity involved there. So my dream, I think, would be to have someone that I could give a folder full of footage to, and then get back a Premiere project that has all the shots completely cold the way that I do it, has all my multicam sequences synced out, and even maybe has some of the like audio bits pulled out into like the best moments, things like that, so I can literally get it back and sit down and just jump straight into picking the music and then putting the edit together and doing the color and all that sort of stuff, which I would still want to do. For me, that's about as far as I can see. I mean, I know people have had good success with outsourcing some stuff. It's one of the things, if you pay, the more you pay, the better quality you're going to get for that. Or in outsourcing things also like doc edits. So if you have like full ceremony, full speeches, full dances, anything like that where it's more just kind of cut and dry, those are things you could also outsource. So we're in the same boat. We're actually trying to figure out what we're going to do for that for next year, because we used to shoot half photo, half video, and photo is a little bit easier to outsource, and it's just a little bit quicker as far as the work on the back end goes. So having a bunch of weddings, we have a really long stretch next season. We're going to have a bunch of weekends in a row with weddings. Like, what is it, like 9 weekends in a row? 6 weekends in a row, which is still a lot, to try and stay on top of all that. And one of this is a doubleheader. Anyway, it's a lot. So we're in that same boat. So that would be my best recommendation, would be to figure out what little things there are that you can outsource that take less creativity, and outsource those. But you also need to invest in someone and be willing to put the time into training them to do it the way you want to do. And that's the thing that I'm still trying to figure out, like when that's going to happen.
All right. So Aaron says, you're so funny. You're still a faithful follower. What program do you use to send your questionnaire to clients? So we use HoneyBook, and HoneyBook allows us to send everything. We can book them through that, and also send all the questionnaires, and track emails. And so we use HoneyBook, and with HoneyBook I can already have I have a template list of all my questionnaires, as well as all of my contracts and all of the templated emails that I usually send. So yeah, HoneyBook. And
if you want to save 50% off HoneyBook, we have a code that Ash can put into the chat if anybody wants to try HoneyBook. No, HoneyBook is great. If you don't have HoneyBook, a lot of client management software does offer some sort of questionnaire. Google Forms is a really good free option as well. Just anywhere where you can collect the information, have it online, and make it pretty easy. So that if not HoneyBook or something like that that's built into a CRM, I would look into Google Forms, because it's pretty easy. You can add photos and brand it sort of to you. And
oh no,
it's pretty easy to
HoneyBook
maintain.
isn't available. I didn't know that. Yeah, Google Forms was the one that I was going to suggest to. Somebody else had mentioned Jot Forms a long time ago. I've never used Jot Forms, but maybe it could be helpful. I feel like Google Forms is the easiest to kind of keep up with, because it'll be segmented by person.
Yeah.
So
yeah, if you can't do HoneyBook, Google Forms. I mean, there's other stuff out there. I don't know. Actually, I don't know how many of the CRMs are available worldwide. Even 17 Hats or Dubsado or whatever. I think a lot of those I'm sure they have some sort of questionnaire functionality. But yeah, Google Forms I think would be the easiest bet beyond that.
And you can have a template on Google Forms as well, where you can just have all of your questions already sent out, and then you can just I
think you can export the results, right?
Yeah, but I was going to say you can duplicate the form or copy the form so that you'll have multiple.
If you want to tweak it, you mean?
No.
Or for each person?
Yeah.
Oh.
Because you have to create a new document every time you send it to somebody. You don't want them to fill out the same one.
Oh. There you go. Perfect.
Oh, it's what you already know. You already use it.
She probably is. You can probably tell us how to use it better, because we don't use it for that. But yeah. Yeah, I wonder if HoneyBook is going to be international at some point. I'm sure that's their goal, but
yeah.
I'm sure Australia would be high on the list. Australia sounds like an awesome place to be.
Yeah.
Cool. So yeah, if you guys have any more questions, drop them in there. Those are all great questions. Thank you all for asking, and thank you for tuning in all the way from Australia. That's fun.
Yeah.
Ash and I, one of our biggest regrets, I think, so far in our marriage is not going to Australia when we were in New Zealand. That was probably, in retrospect, that was probably a mistake, because we were all the way over there. We were pretty much in your backyard. We should have just gone.
Yeah.
We just Skyped with, we booked them.
Yes.
We just booked a couple, and he's from Australia, which is fun. So we just had a long chat about the different types of rugby and cricket, and all the different Australian things. So that was fun.
If you use Squarespace, you can use an unlinked page and create client questions.
Oh, that's good to
Good
know.
to know.
So if any of you guys out there are Squarespace users, that's nice. A nice little perk.
Yeah. It actually makes me think, like, I think even if you use, okay, I don't know.
You're not talking into your mic anymore.
Okay, I was gonna say, I think even if you use WordPress, you can embed the Google Forms code into a page on your WordPress site.
Oh yeah, mm-hmm. It
And
does
you
have
can,
an embed feature.
yeah,
you're
so
right.
it'll look like it's still a page of your website. You can do that on WordPress too. Morgan, great question. Somebody asked this a couple weeks ago when we did pricing. Do you charge tax for your services? If so, is it applied to the price you're asking, or can you just set aside taxes for what we receive? Okay, this is what we said the last time. Taxes.
Ask a professional.
Yeah, taxes are really hard to know.
Even
I think you're.
professionals don't know.
Are you in Oklahoma, Morgan? Okay, so we're in Virginia. I think you're in Oklahoma, but I could be wrong. We in Virginia, this is what our accountant told us, is if the couple Texas. Okay, sorry.
We don't know about Texas.
I don't know about Texas, but okay, I'm just gonna say you need to call into like your state corporation tax whatever and ask them, because it changes state to state. In our state, if they live in Virginia, we charge them sales tax if they're receiving the product in our state at the end of their wedding day.
So I mean, you can do it however you have to charge
yeah.
sales tax, and you collect the sales tax, and then you have to pay it back to the state. It'll vary like when you have to collect it. So you're asking $1,500 plus tax or $1,500 taxes included.
So
that's
yeah.
up to you. If you say $1,500 taxes included, that means you're not going to walk away with $1,500 in your pocket. You're going to pay a percentage of that, whatever it is in your state, to the state of Texas, and then so you'll have less than $1,500. I would recommend saying it's $1,500, taxes not included, and then that just gets added in as part of their invoice, and then they pay you that money on top of the $1,500, and then you just take whatever they pay you for sales tax, and you turn around and you just hand it to Texas, Mr. Texas, and that's the best way to do it.
All right, guys, we're gonna wrap it up for tonight. So next week, don't forget, hang out with me on Instagram to see behind the scenes of the biz.
So y'all should go.
If you go, if you go on Instagram,
that's not gonna. Oh wow, we're okay.
Kind of, and you go to Behind the Film Biz, the hashtag Behind the Film Biz. You can click follow at the top, so you can follow along with the hashtag.
Ooh, fancy.
And yeah, we will see you there next week.
Wait, do you have anything you want them to do right now? Like, you should go follow us on Instagram right now, and then
Follow us on Instagram.
And then do what? Comment on our last post and say, I'm so excited for hashtag Behind the Film Biz, right?
Yeah.
BIZ.
So yeah, that's what will be next week. No Facebook Live next week. And then we will connect again